Good morning, everyone. Hello, and welcome to Pit Road Productions. Or indeed, if you're watching from Swelio Almeida's channel, a huge warm welcome to you. And we are here for the Almeida Racing League Season 3B. And when it's been a little bit of a varied season here, he's definitely mixing up a little bit. We've had LMP3s and Interlagos, and then this week we're going to have the Formula 4 here at Road America. I've got to say, definitely a fun schedule indeed, and definitely looking forward to some fun racing here with these cars. But ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the commentary booth today, on my right, as you can see there, the one and only, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Reese Gardner, or on Twitch, the Southpaw Racer. Definitely watch him out if you want to see some vintage racing indeed. But and then also in the production booth, we have Mr. Rob the Goatee Campbell hiding behind the scenes, despite the fact he's actually quite photogenic. Anyway, moving on. Definitely, it's going to be a fun Saturday morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be, and definitely looking forward to seeing these guys race here in one of the Princess-approved tracks, and not only that, in the Formula 4 as well. Reese, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, well, it's definitely evening for me here in Western Australia. We're just about an hour away from going into Sunday, and it's the perfect time for Formula 4 at Road America. These lower-level open-wheelers, they really provide some fantastic racing. The F4 is a step up from the F1600s that Almeida Racing League raced last season. Of course, different car track combo for every round, and this time we go to the very long straights of Road America. It's going to be a good opportunity for slipstreaming and big sends.
Yeah, very much so. But I'm thinking about my time in F4 in the official series, and certainly it does tend to be a quite an instant high race. So I'm looking forward to see how these drivers handle that. Certainly, you know, they're in the Almeida Racing League, and you can see if you can very quickly tell if you're racing somebody from this league, because you know the iRating is going to be higher. You know, that's generally a good hint. Definitely some people making some big gains, and not only that, even if you think you may have a chance, they are driving above a standard that I would definitely expect. I did have the pleasure of attending one of the pit parties. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm good at this combo, and I was very quickly humbled, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're looking to improve your driving, certainly in the sim, and if not in real life as well, it influences both. Definitely check out Swelio Almeida, the Almeida Racing Academy, and indeed the Motor Racing Checklist. All sorts of material coming out. And not only that, if you're a member of the league, you do get access to things like pit parties, the league, all sorts of benefits and stuff like that. They do workshops as well. So very strongly recommend that. But Reese, I think they're currently out doing a little bit of qualifying right now.
They are indeed. And we'll be bringing you a few of those live pictures as they come down to Canada Corner, already demonstrating the slipstreaming supremacy of Road America. This is a very interesting combination that they've gone for. Of course, the schedule for this championship is a little bit different to what we've seen in previous seasons. We started off last week in the LMP3 at Interlagos. We're here at Road America in the Formula 4. Then we go to Hockenheim in the Pro 2 Light Truck. And rounding out the season in June, Snetterton 100, a very short infield layout of Snetterton in the Legends cars, which is certainly an interesting way to go about this league. I mean, they've had 2 seasons of, you know, the same car across a variety of tracks, first the BMW M2 and then the Formula 1600. But now I think this is really going to test drivers' diversity. You know, very interesting combinations that we're seeing here from very different disciplines of racing.
Very much so. Definitely the F4. It has absolutely insane amounts of grip, but don't get me wrong, you can't just send this thing. It will stick a lot more than you expect it to, but it does take a little bit of time to get some heat into the tires. The top speed on the thing actually not that high, but certainly the grip levels are otherworldly. You definitely got to use the downforce to get the most out of this car.
Yeah, if you've ever driven the Lotus 79 Grand Prix car here on iRacing, I found when I drove the F4 for the first time, basically drives like a miniature Lotus 79 in slow motion. It's a giant go-kart, really, and you're not carrying the biggest speed down the straights, yes, but it's got a very wide platform. You sit very low, obviously, and you've got those wings assisting you, plus a diffuser as well at the back to get that extra airflow going, provide that little bit of extra downforce. And yeah, the more aggressive you are into the corners, the more rotation you can get on the car, the quicker your lap time will ultimately be. It's going to be an interesting test seeing these cars at Road America, having to angle the cars into these corners after coming off some very fast straightaways like this one up here, up the start-finish straight, all the way up the hill on board with Mahid Rahman, who currently tops the qualifying session. Before we get into the meat of this, though, we should probably check out who was on top coming out of round one. This is the race at Interlagos last week. The three races really that we saw were very varied in their results, and well, we'll see how the championship ends up stacking up out of this second round. But yeah, it looks like we won't quite be able to bring you those points from the first round. Regardless, let's just say the results have varied this season. A lot of drivers had very up and down nights.
Yeah, definitely. And Andrew Moran was indeed the man to beat there. Certainly, we see him be potent throughout the Almeida Racing Academy, the Almeida Racing League, and definitely this gentleman who we're watching as well. He has previously won it as well. I think he won season 2, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly going off memory a bit there, but a very potent driver indeed. Had some absolutely incredible iRating gains as well, to the point where I think it got screenshotted and shared on Swellio's socials, just to show that kind of gain that the training can indeed provide. But definitely as well, it's not just that. I mean, you have the courses, it's a lot of video and stuff like that, and then you kind of go over it. A couple of people go through it a few times, because it's the same as anything. I don't know about yourself, Reese, but I know I cannot learn as easily as I used to. So the fact that the course material is there and you go over it at your own leisure, you can do that. You can also talk to other league members as well. But then also, if you find it, you want that more personal approach, you can actually book one of our coaches, and we do have a couple of them in the session right now. We could either check out the number 12 of Brian Lockwood, or indeed the number 15 of Connor Bell. Now, Connor Bell, I can tell you just how real wild racing experience. He's driven Radical SR3s. He's also driven in the Production Challenge, and definitely been doing some coaching for the Radicals as well. I know he's been coaching Brady Clapham, who has recently secured a good handful of podiums, including some wins. So definitely, if you are in need of a coach, the Almeida Academy can provide.
It certainly can. Really fantastic to have all of those services available for those who want to get better at racing, whether it be in the real world or the virtual world. Not just driving technique, but also racing technique as well. Well, 6 minutes remaining in qualifying, and we should check out how the night is likely to go here. We, of course, have 3 races on the cards for tonight. The drivers have already completed an hour of practice, 15 minutes of open qualifying that they're in the middle of right now. And then we have 2 15-minute heat races to start things off. The top 10 starting race 2 will be inverted from the top 10 of race 1. And the feature is a 20-minute race with the grid set by Heat 2. There's no fast repairs, so if you get too damaged out there, which is very easy to do in these Formula 4s, you will likely not be able to make it back out onto the track. And of course, it is a fixed setup. Every driver is driving effectively the same car here, though I do believe the Formula 4 does allow you to adjust brake bias on board. So that's one thing the drivers will likely be tweaking as the races go on here.
Yeah, definitely. And I can see we do have a driver at a uniform as well, so it'll be interesting to see if they're going to be able to get away with that. Certainly, it is required that you run the Almeida paints for the series to make sure the broadcast looks as lovely as possible. But don't get me wrong, the guy has had some good success here, so he may indeed get a little bit of grace from the stewards. But here's I believe this gentleman here is one of the novice coaches, Abdul Mahmoud. Definitely, I'm pretty sure he's hung out in my Twitch before as well, but rocking the very best colour, I've got to admit, not that I'm biased, but almost a British Racing green and gold paint here in the Almeida Racing League, and it takes you back a little bit to the days of when Jaguar had a Formula 1 team. It only lasted about 2 years and had a somewhat limited success, but anybody who thinks of Jaguar Formula 1 will indeed think of the classic Eddie Irvine. Definitely, I remember as a kid growing up, he was the man to beat.
Certainly was. I see that shade of green and that twinge of gold, and I think Brabham I think Jack Brabham in the 60s in Formula One. Of course, green and gold being the international sporting colours of Australia as well. But obviously, the colour green, a very common one in motorsports, and for very good reason. It looks great on a race car. Bit of a change up at the front of the field here in qualifying. Garrett Lund has gone fastest, and it looks like he's slipstreamed off the back of Mahid Rahman there on that previous lap, setting a time only 100th of a second faster than Rahman, but still enough to get him to the top. This is looking like quite the competitive front row here. Both Lund and Rahman are 4/10 ahead of the next fastest car, Sammy Hendricks.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a little bit of strategy going on at play here. And don't get me wrong, for Season 3B, we do not have a team's championship. The drivers are free to pick whatever color car they so desire. And obviously, we know which color is the right one. It's green. Biased opinion. But definitely, as we see actually the matte black car here at Sammy Hendricks. But definitely, I do find, despite all that, I am starting to see a little bit of, oh, you picked the same color car, and a little bit of camaraderie is indeed occurring. Don't get me wrong as well. These drivers will use any car to get a slipstream. I don't think they're particularly fussy, but definitely you got to take the opportunities that you can here. As we see Cairo Enns, he definitely got a podium last week. I was actually pretty damn proud of him. He's had a bit of hard luck at times. He usually was running in Team Red Bull. The Canadian driver, he did manage to get an interview last week, and maybe he can repeat that success here at Road America.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can find another few tenths of a second to break further into that top 10. He's currently lapping by himself, so he's not getting that slipstream assistance that we're seeing the likes of Moran, Lund, and Rahman get. Clear track ahead of him here as he goes through the final corner at Road America, using all of the curb on the exit to get the best run onto the straight and begin the next lap. Well, Mahid Rahman going a little bit slower that time by. Cairo Enns' lap there, a 209.26, and that is about half a tenth of a second off, maybe a little bit more, from his current quickest time. Leon Benfelsen, meanwhile, crowd favourite, as you like to call him here, Zippy. His family always in the stream chat cheering him on there. Jeremy Childers just going to P6. That's a fantastic run-up from him. Benfelsen here just setting a new fastest personal best in qualifying for him. Not quite able to elevate himself up the field with that time, but at the very least, it is an improvement. It looks like he's going to get a double draft here. Can he repeat his qualifying success that we saw at Interlagos last week in the LMP3s? He was certainly well in tune with that car.
Yeah, he's definitely a potent driver, and he's not oblivious to, having a bit of strategy either. Certainly, the person at the front of this train is literally pulling the pair of them behind through that gap. You see Edwin Riviera, he's getting in on it as well. He's got that draft, and I think it might be Jeremy Childers at the front of that. No, it's Andrew Moran, my apologies. The reason I recognize that is because of the paint. He's out of uniform, sir. But definitely, adding a little bit of vibrance, a little bit of style. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of a perk, if you manage to win the win one of these seasons, that's definitely, fair play. But definitely, out of uniform here, and you can see here, Edwin, while it's good having the draft, you've got to wonder as well, at times, can it actually back you up a bit? Certainly, it depends on the car. I know whenever I run a spec Ford, all right, having a car to draft behind is beneficial, but they need to be faster than me, so they're actually pulling me through. If not, I find I'm just basically, I'm on eggshells behind them, trying not to hit them, and I actually end up losing time overall.
Yeah, if you're losing time in the corners, there's not much point to gaining time on the straights there. Worth noting that I do see Andrew Moran does have a skin on my end, so
okay.
I don't know if that's just a broadcast PC thing, but we'll have to try and figure that one out. Regardless, qualifying is over. And it's time to go through the grid for the first of our races here tonight. Garrett Lund taking pole in style. He's going to be joined by Mahid Rahman on the front row. Sammy Hendricks and Andrew Moran will be third and fourth. The third row of the grid being Edwin Rivera and Jeremy Childers, who made that late improvement. Leon Benfelsen starting in seventh place alongside Thomas Niemanen, who had a bit of a struggle in the LMP3 at Interlagos. Maybe F4 Road America will treat him a bit better. Andrew Calabrese and Cairo Enns will round out our top 10.
As we have a look at P11, somebody who I know is very, very talented in the rain, and especially in an F1600. But this time, he's in a Formula 4. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ian Joyner in the number 18 car, alongside Valdes Pansavicius in P12. As we have a look at P13, you can see there Mark Frederick. He returns with Kevin Adrian. Great to see him back in P14. Abdul Rahman, he's there in 15th, with Connor Bell, one of our coaches, there in 16th, with Brian Lockwood in 17th, and in 18th, Yanis Theophanopoulos closing out the top split.
Yes, looks like we'll be rounding things off there at 18 cars, ready to take the standing start here at Road America. It was a rolling start at Interlagos in the LMP3s, typical of sports car racing, but this is single-seaters, and outside of the IndyCar series and various American open wheel series, you don't usually see rolling starts in single-seater racing events. So this will be an interesting one for these drivers, trying to get what little power there is down to the ground through these rear wheels. But it's time to get that power down. Lights are going up, and it's Garrett Lund who'll lead us away here. Very quick time there to the start, and it's a lightning start from Garrett Lund. Sammy Hendricks and Andrew Moran will find their way past Mahid Rahman on the way down to turn 1, but the slipstream already starting to kick in as they get into the braking zone there. Oh no, that's Leon Bentvelsen that's gone off there, and the number 6 of Thomas Nieminen has joined him.
Well, that definitely looked a little bit unfortunate. Certainly open wheelers, it doesn't take much. You just have that little unfortunate contact. But perhaps they can indeed work together to regain up to that front pack. And then not only that, where it's a heat race, they will indeed get another 2 opportunities there at Glory. As we still see Andrew Moran. Definitely, I'll check on my end as well, Reese. Maybe it is a trading paints issue. Obviously not known to be the most reliable software in the iRacing service. But definitely you can see here, Sammy Hendricks currently up in P2. And I've got to say, Garrett Lund, he's a driver who's had incredible pace when we've seen him here at Pit Road Productions, and definitely been caught with a short straw a few times. I'm really hoping that he can manage to hold on to this P1, maybe pull away a little bit of a gap, which is what he's done so far. 7 tenths of a second separating him between himself and the number 9 of Sammy Hendricks.
Yeah, Garrett Lund certainly has the potential for great results here. He had a few star performances in the F1600 season. What I can tell you about that lap 1, turn 1 incident was Cairo Enns, I think, was the aggressor there. He ended up running right into the back of Bentvelsen. And then as Bentvelsen spun in front of him, made contact with Nieminen as well. So 2-for-1 deal there for Cairo Enns, and potentially might be a penalty hanging over his head from that.
Yeah, potentially, definitely. I don't know how far they're going into penalties, where this is more of a little bit of a soft season here. But you see here, Mahid Rahman looking to make a move. A little bit of a slide there, as we see, definitely not got those tyres up to temperature yet. Definitely applying all of the pressure there. As you can see, these cars definitely having a good bit of a run here. Remember, cold tyres, cold tyres. You can see there, definitely, I've seen the back end of these cars step out a couple of times, and these drivers able to catch it. It's, I find these cars, they are a lot of fun, but to find the limits of grip, you really, really have to be pushing. As we see here, the number 4 car of Andrew Calabrese.
As the great Mario Andretti once said, if everything seems like it's under control, you're not going fast enough. And that's true for the Formula 4. Well, Calabrese here, getting it done on Mark Frederick and Brian Lockwood. Oh, God! Oh, my God! That took me by surprise. Lockwood and Calabrese coming together out of turn 1. Debris littering the racetrack. And fortunately, it looks like everyone else found their way through that. But Jeremy Childers, I think, a little spooked from that incident. Very narrow coming out of turn 1 here at Road America. Not much space to avoid an incident if something ends up happening here. So Lockwood coming on through, and Calabrese actually slid over the curb there. There's already plenty of gravel that's been laid down there, I think, from Bentvelsen and Nieminen on lap 1. So no surprise to see that the grip wasn't entirely up to scratch there. Garrett Lund, meanwhile, going a little bit wide himself. Well, unfortunately, that's Calabrese and Lockwood out of the race for the time being. And, well, considering the amount of damage on those cars, I don't think we'll be seeing them again until race 2.
I was about to say as well that Brian Lockwood was the hard charger with 8 positions, but obviously my commentator's curse is indeed more potent. I can do it without even whispering a word at this point. Or Brian Lockwood is indeed telepathic, perhaps. In which case, if he's telepathic with me, my sympathies to you, Brian. Definitely, you're going to need some therapy after that. But I can tell you that Valdez Pancificius, he has currently got a meatball flag as well, so he was able to get caught up in that incident very sadly. But right now, Garrett Lund up in the front, and he's leading a pack of about 5 cars. And this is the guy at the back of that pack. You see here, Mahidra Rahman, closing up a little bit of pressure there to Edwin Riviera.
Yeah, can he get past him? Hendricks in the slipstream of Lund, and he's going to... Oh, I thought for a second he was going to go for it, but he's bump drafting him down the straight here. They're trying to get a bit of a gap here over Moran, Rahman, and Rivera. This is an interesting 5-way battle for the lead. It looks like the two up the front helping each other out a little.
Don't get me wrong, I admire the sheer... courage. Well, it took me a second here to pick the right word on that. Ladies and gentlemen, fill in the blanks. I'm sure you'll have some fun with that. But definitely took me a little bit there to really recognize exactly how big a set of stones that Hendricks was running. Because don't get me wrong, the F4, it's just got that front wing on it. I wouldn't say that was a structurally significant part to start giving a bump draft, but he's trying it anyway. A fair play to it. Makes for some great entertainment here for us, as you can see there. Andrew Moran is indeed now in uniform, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. He has been court-martialed and indeed redressed appropriately now in that number 99 car, and currently serving in P3.
Yeah, they had to get the clothes rack out there, running alongside him, and just derobe the car there. As oh dear, that's Rivera, that's Rahman, sorry, that's gone off at the turn before the carousel, and far from ideal there for the number 11. Looks like he might have just maybe missed his braking point. No, it looks like maybe a bit too much rotation on the car. That's the thing about these F4s. They do drive at their best when you're ragging it around the circuit, but you overstep that limit by even a little and you pay the price.
Yeah, definitely, I can sympathise. I've done a little bit of time in the Formula 4, more specifically at Road Atlanta, where I actually found I was able to compete with some drivers very much above my iRating grade, to the point where I only managed to do it once, and I was sweating a little bit after that. It's fair to say it was a very demanding race, and I enjoyed the fact that I could compete with them, but I didn't enjoy just how demanding it physically was afterwards. It was a workout for sure. But you can see here, Andrew Moran now. I have a feeling he's probably not going to be of the bump streaming variety, but I say that if he gets any closer, Sammy Hendricks is indeed going to get a little bit of a nudge, as we see a potential move have a back between Mahid Rahman and Edwin Riviera. It looks like Edwin going behind now as Mahid makes that move up on the inside, heading down into turn 1.
The both of them you saw in the foreground of the shot out of the final corner, they both ran wide onto the grass. So I think they've just reasserted themselves in that order, and now they'll try and charge forward. The problem is, now we have 3 cars up front slipstreaming off of each other. And there's a lot of potential here for them to continue bringing that gap up as wide as you like into turn 5 down here. And then, of course, it is officially counted as the 5th turn here, thanks to turn numbers in America generally being defined by marshals posts, which is something I only found out a couple of years ago, and was a very bizarre fact. But through the corners they come, through the hurry downs, as they are called, and into this next braking zone. Next up, the carousel, of course. Longest corner on the circuit, super fast, and the exit is incredibly important, because if you make a mistake out of here, you're hurt all the way down to Canada Corner.
Well, you know what? There is a story behind Canada Corner, actually, corner I looked at before, but I would really like to get, a good look at the front. I'm hiccuping. This is great. At the front of the number 9 car, because I have a good feeling that there is a noticeable scuff on the nose cone of Sammy Hendricks' machine. So definitely, I did say that it's not a structural piece. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the paint apparently not that thick either. We try and get a good look. Maybe, oh, of course, yeah, Rob's got the fancy camera, so I'm forgetting this, ladies and gentlemen. I should know better. He is a very, very talented producer. I'm just a producer. But you can see there the front of Sammy Hendricks' car. Definitely, you compare it to Andrew Moran behind. There is very noticeably a scuff on that nose cone, but it doesn't look like the splitter has indeed been affected. So definitely he's tried it. I don't know if he'll be aware of this in the car, but I do wonder is Moran. Yeah, Moran's going to go for the slipstream, the overtake. Now, what's Hendricks going to do with this? Is he going to let Moran in, or yeah, he's let him in? Can he potentially try and keep this slipstream going with the free cars pulling further and further away from P4 of Mahid Rahman?
Andrew Moran holds the fastest lap of the race so far, 2:08.0, and he was the fastest car on track last time by. Speaking of further back here, Abdulrahman Mahmoud making the move on Cairo ends. It's taking a bit longer than he would like, I suppose. He gets on the brakes rather early here, and that's because he's trying to set up the exit in the slipstream into turn 5 here. Ends is all on his own here. Kevin Adrian and Jeremy Childers might try to follow Mahmoud through. They got to keep an eye out for all of that. And down into turn 5, we'll see if Ends fights back here very late on the brakes. Is that too deep into turn 5? Not quite. He's been able to keep the position over Mahmoud. Some good defensive driving there. And if anything, it's opened up Mahmoud to an attack from Kevin Adrian. Space given between the two of them. And Mahmoud will just hold on to the place there. There has been a change for the lead. Andrew Moran has gotten by Garrett Lund. He is definitely in a hurry to try and take victory here in the F4 at Road America. It looks like he got maybe a bit of assistance from Hendricks on the way.
Yeah, definitely. Hendricks is very much a team player indeed, and it looks like the pair of them now looking to try and apply a bit of pressure. Very wide line there from the number 9 of Sammy Hendricks, as we're seeing here on the replay. But as we return to live pictures, you can see this freeway battle does indeed continue. Garrett Lund currently in second place, and you can see here Mahid Rahman, it was about 2.6, 2.7 seconds back off this lead pack before. That gap down to 2 seconds now. So I do wonder, can these guys catch up? I've got to admit, the red paint almost looking slightly Ferrari-esque, please forgive me, but definitely, you know what, that's not really a bad thing, really, if you think about it, you know, honestly, being compared to Ferrari.
Yeah, I think it gives me, yeah, of course, gives me big 2007, 2008 vibes when Ferrari decided to go for that darker shade of red. Fantastic stuff there. Another trade of positions here between Rivera and Rahman, but they're running side by side through the corner here, and if anything, they're probably slowing each other up versus the battle for the top 3 ahead. They almost lock wheels there, and Edwin Rivera shoves Mahid Rahman off the racing line to take the position there. Well, I think we know where this battle stands.
Well, it looks like we've got a couple more to go out. There's got to be a 6-7 car battle going on here, and I don't think they're all potentially for position as well. We'll have to work out. Certainly, I can see 2, 4, 6, maybe. As we see side by side, it's almost like they're going to prom at this point. You can see it, and I got to admit, it's definitely, well, they're obviously doing better than I did, but you can see Cairo Ends in the purple car. He's going to be on the outside, catches a little bit of dirt there. He's going to be able to take that nice outside line, tucks in right behind. Can he get the over-under move done, as we see here from Thomas oh my gosh, Nieminen. And you can see
Nieminen.
Thank you, Nieminen. We need to start writing these down. Zippy proof, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely is. We do actually have somebody in the chat, actually. Maybe you can make sense of this, Reese. Is Swabro racing or commenting? Oh, he must mean Swelio. Okay, yeah, no. So Swelio is currently doing real race car driver things, and you've got to deal with us. I'm sorry there, Polar Inertia, but Reese is a fantastic commentator, and then there's me. So certainly, you know, sympathies to you for that. But definitely see Cairo Ends there, currently in the middle of this pack. P10, starting the same position, and currently resting in P10.
Yes, and that is the battle for race 2 pole, as Edwin Rivera and Mahid Rahman are now together a little more, and Ian Joyner is catching up to them in the battle for 4th. This is going to turn into quite the fight as well. Oh, the leader's almost 3 wide as Sammy Hendricks, just in the distance there, dipping over the hill, gets up the inside of Andrew Moran. 2 minutes to go in the race, and it looks like this may be the final lap. I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, side by side between the black cars in turn 1. So close to banging wheels. And Garrett Lund will be looking at this and thinking, yes, yes, please, battle, my friends. And I will take the spoils of your avoided victory. Trading for 10th place as well between Nieminen and Ends. And it looks like a bit of smoke there. They might have come together there. Thomas Nieminen now holding on to that 10th spot. And taking advantage is Jeremy Childers and Abdulrahman Mahmood, Kevin Adrian and Leon Benfelsen with them as well. It's been a good recovery from Neiman in there, being in the gravel trap, lap 1, turn 1. Well, he'll get himself race 2 pole if he manages to hold on to that. Moran back ahead of Hendricks, by the way, in the battle for the lead. And we're starting to see some more aggression here from Garrett Lund, but you want to try and leave it to the last opportunity around a track like this, because you get by someone before a long straight, you're only going to be slipstreamed back.
Yeah, definitely. This is where one of those venues where you do indeed need to decide when is the tactical place to make that pass. And if I was Garrett Lund, I would be getting as close to that rear wing of Sammy Hendricks in that number 9 car as humanly possible. And I think he's currently applying the same tactic to Andrew Moran. This is going to be a prime passing opportunity, and Hendricks is going to go and try and go the long way around, ladies and gentlemen. On the outside, can Garrett Lund pull it off? He's going to hope that these two battle, but I don't think there's going to be any real estate. As they go 3 wide behind him, Ian Joyner is going to be on the outside. On the inside is going to be Riviera. Oh my gosh, 2 incredibly tight battles as they make their way towards the checkered flag.
Yes, there's only a few seconds remaining on the timer, and it's side by side between Hendricks and Moran. And now the slipstream is there for the number 30. 3 wide for the lead, just about being forced onto the grass there is Garrett Lund. He won't be too happy with that. The checkered flag is flying, and Hendricks is going to lift off at the final moment and give Lund second place there. Andrew Moran wins only a few hundredths of a second between Rivera and Rahman, with Joyner taking that last position in the top 6. Man, what a finish. And this is only race 1, Zippy. We're going to get 2 more opportunities to see that.
That was spicy. I do believe something may have happened to Mahmood, but that was on lap 7, so I think, okay, we were all right. We're just definitely some interesting battles. I wouldn't mind seeing a replay again of that if we could, Rob. I don't know if we got time to show it, but of that incident there was with Hendricks and Lund, definitely it looked a little bit spicy. Damn it. Never mind. It happens, ladies and gentlemen. The session has indeed just clicked over, so not currently accessible to us, but definitely by all means rewind it on the stream afterwards. And don't get me wrong, if you're tuning in and watching this, by all means feel free to share it around. We'd love to see even more viewers and have even more of you in the chat. And if you want to take part in any of the shows that we show here on Pit Road Productions, just drop us a comment on the YouTube and we will get back to you. But here you go, ladies and gentlemen, the results. Andrew Moran took first with Garrett Lund there in second, with Sammy Hendricks giving that little bit of a lift there in third. Mahid Rahman took fourth with Edwin Riviera in fifth. Ian Joyner in sixth with Mark Frederick in seventh. Thomas, oh my gosh. Niemanen, thank you, Rob. Thomas Niemanen in eighth with Cairo ends in ninth, and Kevin Adrian closing out your top 10.
Yeah, Mahmood finishing in 11th there. And, well, you take that top 10 and flip it, and that's where they're starting here for race 2. Adrian and Enns are going to be your front row, with Niemanen and Frederick on row 2. Ian Joyner starts in 5th alongside Edwin Rivera. Then we have Mahid Rahman and Sammy Hendricks on row 4. Lund and Moran round out your top 10 there. Mahmood starting 11th, with Benfelsen managing to get himself up into 12th there. Fantastic recovery. And we move back to Jeremy Childers and Connor Bell, who's given himself a black flag after the finish of race 1 to put himself back to the back of the field. Valdas Vansavicius will want a better result this time by, as will Andrew Calabrese. Brian Lockwood starts in between them. Yanis Theophanopoulos did not take to the start of race 1, so I doubt we're going to be seeing him here for race 2. Regardless, they file gradually onto the grid here, as we still have about 1.5 minutes remaining on the grid timer. And it's a very cloudy track here at Road America. The track is pretty warm at 32 degrees Celsius, but there's no sun hitting the racetrack, no UV rays heating up the rubber. So what results is a track that's quite grippy, it seems.
Yeah, definitely these guys, not only being able to push the car to the limit, but also as well, we didn't actually see too much for cold tyres. We did see a little bit of the debris system kicking in. Certainly, obviously a slick tyre on gravel is never going to end well, but definitely a little bit more susceptible to it than I would have expected. But I got to say, some beautiful scenic shots here from the Wisconsin track of Road America. Definitely not that much elevation change, I guess, from this angle, but certainly when you drive the car, certainly you'd know exactly which turn it is. But after the second long straight, as you go up the hill under that cheese bridge, I believe it is, ladies and gentlemen, it's definitely a very enjoyable drive.
Certainly is. We don't get Sargento cheese here in Australia, but I do want to visit Wisconsin just to try their various dairy products. I want to try a butter burger as well. I hear those are quite nice, though you probably don't want to eat too many of them in one sitting.
Heart attack in a bun, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you know, when in Rome, etc. Something. 7 seconds remaining on the grid timer, and we're getting ready for the start here. Kevin Adrian on pole position with Cairo Enns joining him on that front row. Who's going to nail the start from here as the revs rise and the four-cylinder symphony begins? Some technical issues there for the number 8, but we get off to our start here and it's nice and clean, but it looks like bogging down a bit off the start was Mahid Rahman. He's going to have to yield to both Lund and Hendricks on the way into the first turn here. And Enns will protect second place from Thomas Nieminen. But Kevin Adrian leading the way out of the first turn and a much cleaner start this time.
Yeah, definitely good to see all of these drivers being able to make their way through. Now, Kevin Adrian is now sat at the top step. Can he keep hold of it? Certainly, the draft is indeed potent in these cars, as we can see almost a scrimmage of Formula 4 cars making their way down that back straight. There you go, Sargento, sorry, cheese there. I knew which one I meant. I knew it was cheese related, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't even like cheese that much. Don't get me wrong, if it had been... we can't get me started on food, ladies and gentlemen. It's a never-ending subject, but definitely some interesting battles. You see a couple of people there taking to the dirt, fighting for the real estate there. I think Garrett Lund maybe having a couple of connection issues as well, but right now, Kevin Adrian there in the lead. Cairo Enns very close behind him, just 2 attempts. It looks like the top 3 able to pull away a 1-second gap over P4.
Yeah, looking good at the moment for our top 3. This is pretty much the prime position you want to be in halfway around lap 1 at Road America. You just got 2 other cars that you need to battle with, and you don't have to worry too much about the drivers behind. However, when they start working together, if they start working together, they will likely catch up in short order. Through the kink, one of the most dangerous corners in motorsport. It's flat out in these Formula 4s. They can't extend the runoff too much there because a railway line actually runs behind the trees behind there, as the lead will go to Cairo Enns. Look at that dive there, and Nieminen with the magnificent cutback. He took advantage of both Adrian and Enns running a bit deep into the corner, and he will lead the end of lap 1 potentially, unless Enns can pick up the slipstream.
Well, if I was Enns or Adrian, I would indeed check my pants, because you just got mugged, fellas. Like, he absolutely stole that away from me, but Enns is very much on the comeback, and it looks like Kevin Adrian is going to capitalize on that slipstream. Now, is he going to try and force it 3 wide into turn 1? It's a brave idea. I'm not sure I'd go for it, but you can see Ian Joyner now looking to catch up. That 3-way lead, that's now gone. You now have a 6-way fight for the lead, and you can see there, Nieminen trying to hold on there, and comes a little bit of a cropper there to Kevin Adrian and Ian Joyner now. It's indeed, the mugger has indeed become the muggy.
Yes, indeed. He'll late apex turn 3 there, and will be able to get out of the corner all right and still pick up the slipstream from the 14. But we have Mark Frederick now in the 77 blue car trying to go for a move here at turn 5. Down into the heaviest braking zone of the lap, and Mahid Rahman making up 2 positions there in the corner just behind. Big opportunities here. It's absolute pack racing as Enns. Oh, he's dealing with some snapping there at the front. He's fallen out of the lead, and it goes back to Nieminen.
Certainly Nieminen, he is from the land of Finland, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't know how much you guys know about some of the driving standards in Finland, but I'll tell you, to get a driver's license, it is, I mean, I could probably get a university degree easier than I could get a driving license in Finland, and definitely you can tell and certainly recognize the talent. You were speaking of the Lotus 79 earlier. Actually, in the whole iRacing service, I have had the pleasure of, I don't know if I commentated, but I did get to partake, and if not, I've watched broadcasts of the Lotus 79 official race that does indeed go live every race, and Finland is absolutely incredible for drivers for the Lotus 79.
Certainly is. Nieminen will lose the lead there to Ian Joyner now into Canada corner. And I think this battle's going to keep going as it is for a very long time. I see Enns and Moran falling down the order. They've gone off at Canada corner. Well, I mean, not really gone off, but they've gone down. Oh, and there's further drama down at the final corner. We'll get this replay first. Yeah, but we'll see Cairo ends. He was dealing with some troubles with the rear end on this lap, and it looks like it finally came to a head, and that has involved Andrew Moran, the winner of race 1. Meanwhile, Nieminen into the final corner. Maybe a bit too deep. Did he catch the grass? Oh, he lost it anyway, and they had to scatter there. And another one of the Team Black cars, that was Hendricks, that came together with him. Also going off the 77 there of Mark Frederick. Oh dear, absolutely chaotic second lap here.
Yeah, Garrett Lund got caught in that as well. I'm not sure quite where, but he does indeed have a meatball flag in that number 30 machine. Let's try and get a quick replay, find out what happened to Garrett Lund. Certainly there's a lot going on in a short space of time there, and you can see, that looks like a hardware failure.
Yeah, looks like it. Either that or the steering just wasn't responding for him. That's a real shame. We've lost quite a few heavy hitters from this race. Ultimately, it's promoted Connor Bell, one of our coaches here, into 2nd, and Brian Lockwood into 6th.
Oh, we can't be having
and
that.
A huge lead for Joyner. Absolutely not.
As much as we love our Almeida Racing League Academy coaches, we can't be having them getting on the podium now. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do expect it from Kane Halliburton. He has incredible form, incredible driving talent, as do all of the coaches indeed. But certainly, wow, Connor, he's up an incredible 12 spots. Lockwood's up an incredible 10 spots. Yeah, definitely being able to get some attrition in there. And not only that, some fantastic racecraft. But the question is, Ian Joyner is 3 seconds ahead. Can Connor Bell catch up and indeed apply a bit more pressure to the number 18 car of Ian Joyner?
Well, let's check out the practice times. Oh, off go the red cars of Mahid Rahman and Kevin Adrian. Oh, dearie me. Lockwood boxed in here. Don't know what he'll be able to do into the final corner as it's still side by side between Adrian and Mahid Rahman. And look at that. There's the cutback from the number 12. No slipstream, though, for Brian Lockwood. I will point out that Connor Bell topped practice on a 208.4. And it looks to me like Ian Joyner was only able to manage a 209 in practice and qualifying. So we'll see if Bell makes short work of catching up to Joyner here, but he's crucially free of this whole mess here in the battle for 3rd. It's been insane these last couple of laps.
Oh, absolutely incredible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've actually been very, very impressed with just how clean the racing's been here for the Formula 4. These drivers are definitely, they're very racy, and they are keen, and they're definitely not looking to give away a position. Just, I'm trying to think of the best way of phrasing it, but certainly they will fight as much as they can. As I say that, oh dear, the number 4 car's just got caught up in that. Who's that now? That's Andrew Calabrese. He's just got caught, hopped, towed back to the pits. We're going to have to get a replay of that one. I think Kevin Adrian may have got caught in that as well.
Yeah, that's such a shame there for Calabrese. Abdul Rahman Mahmood got into the dirt on the way into turn 5, and I think that caught Calabrese out. He missed his braking point and ended up shooting up off the back of Kevin Adrian. Both of them with major damage and both of them out of the race. Oh man, that's such a shame.
Yeah, definitely. If you are applying a good portion of pressure to the braking system, you do need to have what I would say is balanced grip, and definitely dipping the wheel in the grass. I remember when I first started iRacing, I learned that the very, very hard way. Don't get me wrong. Now these drivers have to contend with debris as well. And it did look like there's maybe a little bit of debris there, but right now Brian Lockwood, he's there in the number 12 car, currently in P5, really working that Formula 4, looking to try and move his way up into P3 over Edwin Riviera.
Good run there through Bill Mitchell Bend, the left-hander up the hill, and into the final turn. Have to nail the run out of here. It's a faster corner than it looks. You can carry a huge deal of speed out of there and pick up the slipstream to get the move done into turn 1. Can Lockwood get into P4? New fastest lap from, well, it looks like the fastest car that time by was Connor Bell, but Brian Lockwood has set the fastest official lap of the race. Of course, plenty of off-tracks being taken by just about every driver in the field, so it's taken us a while to actually see a proper fastest lap emerge, and Lockwood's having trouble getting past Rivera there. Had to take to the outside through turn 3, and Mahid Rahman can only watch on in his mirrors as they creep ever closer.
Well, I do wonder if Rivera has been hanging out with Mike Sargent a little bit. Certainly, he was always the favourite to try and not stick it to the coaches, but give him a hard time if you wanted to try and make that pass. Don't get me wrong, there isn't a championship going for Season 3B, certainly not to my knowledge, and definitely making still for a lot of great racing. But they did have almost a points bonus system for every lap you're able to hold off the coaches. You were rewarded, and definitely, you know, why not, right? Some people would just go, okay, let the coach by, follow behind him, and get the slipstream. See if they can. Whoa, that was tight. Valdez Vancevicius there, almost getting very acquainted with Mr. Brian Lockwood.
Yes, indeed. Front nose cone meets rear crash structure. Usually the story doesn't end very well, but looks like Vancevicius was able to pull it up just in time. Well, it's now a four-way fight for third place. And Vancevicius right on the back of this one. He'll be getting the benefit of the triple slipstream there as Rivera and Rahman, they've been fighting hard all through the first race, and they'll continue that battle through race 2 here. Also worth noting, I just saw Ian Joyner run into the gravel out of Canada Corner. He has lost a bit more time to Connor Bell now. The gap for the lead down under 2 seconds. It's defensive from Edwin Rivera, and look at Vancevicius. He's played this very well. He is right on the back of them now, and, well, let's see if he can carry this through to turn 1. There's space to the right as Lockwood is trying his best to defend and go for the inside at the same time. There's nowhere for Vancevicius to go as they're 3 wide for third place. Lockwood should have the inside here, but getting pincer moved is the 11, and Edwin Rivera will come off third best out of that one.
Yeah, definitely there was a little bit of a contact there. It's you can see Vancevicius there looking, trying to iron it up. You can see he was almost debating going 4 wide, and a good part of me was cheering him on, hoping he would just for the entertainment value. But definitely a lot of pressure there. But now Brian Lockwood has been able to pull away very, very slightly. But is it going to be enough? He's currently in P3. He's 7/10 of a second ahead of these two. Currently in the drafting range, there you can see Rivera pushed back down to 7th place, but he does indeed have Leon Bentvelsen ahead of him, who's just gotten a little bit wide there, and that's going to give Rivera the opportunity there to try and make a move up on the inside, and it's fair to say he's got it. He carried a bit more speed, but is Bentvelsen going to be able to fight back?
Big question. Bentvelsen looking at a top 6 here. Good recovery from his disastrous start to the night here in race 1. Nailing the exit. See if he can carry the speed there. Connection issue, it seems, for Bentvelsen there. Briefly disappearing off of the circuit. Yeah, Bentvelsen is now back in the position he qualified in for race 1. So this is it's only up from here. As battle for the lead is down to 1.3 seconds. More pace being gained by Connor Bell as he chases down Ian Joyner.
Yeah, definitely Connor is indeed on a little bit of a hot streak right now, but the question is, has he got enough time to catch up to Ian Joyner? If he can get that car under a second, he's going to get the slipstream and going to be able to capitalize on that, potentially almost like, not DRS him, but certainly slingshot him ahead further on the track. You see Barney there, he's not on strike today, ladies and gentlemen. He is actually waving the white flag, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly the opposite of what Ian Joyner is going to be doing. He's going to be very much looking to try and pull away, no white flag, no surrender, and looking to try and maintain that P1.
Bentvelsen succeeded in getting past Rivera, it looks like. Battle for 6th has been decided in the favor of the number 23. But we'll keep our eye on Connor Bell here, as the exit is so important out of turn 3 here. You get ever closer to the car in front, you start getting the first whispers of the slipstream. Usually starts having its full effect from about a second back from the car in front. Have a look at the gains that Bell has made here on the last 3 laps alone. 5/10 on lap 4, 7/10 lap 5, back to 5/10 on lap 6. He is absolutely ragging it here to try and get that lead from Ian Joyner, who I think, you know, he's largely so far in front because he's avoided a lot of the drama that's permeated this race.
Yeah, very much so. As we see Brian Lockwood now getting the pressure from one of the students of Mahid Rahman. He's currently about 3/10 of a second back, albeit in other terms, incredibly freaking close. As you can see here right now, Rahman looking to try and capture that slipstream. Now the tactical pass is going to come into play, ladies and gentlemen. There is no push to pass, just to get that ruled out if anybody's thinking about it. Fair play. But he is going to get a good slipstream here. Now this right-hander, Canada corner, don't get me wrong, you want to go through quick, but you do not want to go through too wide. You want to carry through as much momentum as you can. And you can see there, Lockwood very much on the defensive there, but looks like Rahman is going to be able to get up on the inside. What can Lockwood do to fight back?
He'll have to cut back here through Bill Mitchell and potentially set up a slipstream to the start-finish line. Speaking of the start-finish line, it's about to be greeted by Ian Joyner, who's been able to keep Connor Bell behind, and the gap will be creeping ever lower to about 6/10 at the end. But Joyner sees the checkered flag, and he'll take the win here in race 2. Brilliant drive. Half of getting a good result is avoiding the drama, and that's exactly what Joyner just proved. Mahid Rahman beating Brian Lockwood to the line, only just for 3rd as Rivera and Bentvelsen cross for 6th and 7th. Childers, Moran and Mahmood will round out your top 10 there. Ends being the last of our 11 finishers, and that was quite the attrition-filled race.
Actually, you read my mind a little bit there. So Valdez Francivicius, he started 10 spots down from where he was. Remember, we saw him absolutely get mullered in race 1. Well, the good thing is he managed to make it up all the way to P5. So let's just give him a little bit of a shout out there, Valdez Francivicius. Good job there, making it up. But your results, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed Ian Joyner was in the top spot. I think another lap, and I have a feeling Connor Bell would have had something to say about that. He took 2nd with Mahid Rahman in 3rd. Brian Lockwood over there in P4. Valdez Francivicius, your hard charger for that race, excluding the coaches, in P5, with Edwin Rivera in P6. Leon Bentvelsen in the crowd favourite in 7th, with Jeremy Childers in 8th. Andrew Moran takes 9th, and Abdul Rahman Mahmood in 10th.
Ends being the 11th and last finisher of this race. We saw retirements from Frederick, Adrian, Calabrese, Lund, Niemanen, and Hendricks. Plenty of crashes in that second race there, but we get our opportunity here in the warm-up to take a breather. Let's allow Swelio Almeida himself to step in and have a few words.
The Almeida Racing League is growing fast. Hundreds of drivers, multiple splits, broadcasted races, and it's not just about individual winning, it's a team championship. You race with your own squad, you learn how to compete, and you grow together. And we don't throw you into the races blindly. Every week we help you prepare with pit parties to train side-by-side battles, workshops with live coaching, 20 driving challenges with full tutorials, and even group raids into official iRacing races after the league night. For just $25 a month, this is the most complete training experience in sim racing. Join us as a member today to start your advanced training and racing with us. I'll see you.
Well, thank you very much, Swelio Almeida, for helping to make all of this possible with the Almeida Racing Academy. Of course, all of the non-coach drivers in this league are students of the Almeida Academy, and this is the prime opportunity for them to show off what they have learned. Big thanks, of course, to Podium One as well for sponsoring this series as well. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a show to bring you here on Pit Road Productions. Just a couple of minutes left in the warm-up, Zippy, and I'm looking forward to race 3. 20 minutes on the cards here. The grid decided by the results of race 2. So we're going to be seeing some huge drives from the back, I think. We've got Hendricks in particular, who's looking to redeem himself from that second race. Thomas Niemanen as well, who was struggling with the rear end. Maybe he'll try and sort that out on his way into race 2 here. And Garrett Lund, I mean, he ended up finishing second in race 1, but retired from race 2, 4 laps down. There's good opportunity here for drivers to turn their nights around.
Very much so, and I am getting some interesting information from Connor Bell. Fuel strategy will come into play in the feature. Every driver starts half a lap short of fuel, should make for some interesting racing. So there's definitely, as much as we want these guys to absolutely push it, we're going to have to see if they can fuel save, or if they're just going to go all out and, well, there is another option as well. They may forget that they're not going to have enough fuel, which is a valid thing, and I've definitely done that before. And then we might see a couple of cars being brought into the pits, but definitely going to be interesting to see how that works out. You know, when you've got to save fuel and you've got to think about fuel, don't get me wrong, half a lap fuel save over 20 minutes is definitely achievable. But how much are you going to sacrifice to save that fuel? Don't get me wrong, if you have to go down pit road, the results are absolutely catastrophic in lost time. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one works out.
Yeah, and on that point, Road America is notorious for having one of the longest pit lane transits of all the road courses on iRacing. It feels like it takes an age and a half to get from one end of pit lane to another. You lose so much time if you have to come into the lane here. And in only a 20-minute race, that is basically a death knell for a good result. So here's hoping that all the drivers are on the ball with regards to that potential fuel saving strategy. And the amount of slipstreaming that they do around here should lend itself to some good fuel saving. But whether or not you'll actually be able to take advantage of that is another matter entirely, especially if you're the car at the very front of a train.
Very much so. If you're leading this race, you're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage, honestly, or if you are leading a pack. We see Andrew Calabrese returning to the track in the best paint job. I'm going to have to get hold of that paint. I'm sorry. I'm sure they won't mind if I run that on the F4. I just absolutely love that paint. It doesn't take much, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got like a green and gold paint car, the odds are I'm going to like it. It's you know, how to win me over. Food, British Racing Green, bronze wheels. That's all it takes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here we go then into the gridding phase for this final race of the day. Ian Joyner going to start on pole position with Connor Bell taking the second spot on the grid. I think the coaches forgot to give themselves black flags here. Mahid Rahman and Brian Lockwood will be his second row, with Valdez Vancevicius and Edwin Rivera rounding out our top 6. Leon Bentvelsen and Jeremy Childers, row 4. The top 10 rounded out by Andrew Moran and Abdul Rahman Mahmood.
A very fun battle indeed. Cairo Enns is going to be in P11 with Mark Frederick in P12 as we head down to P13. You can see Kevin Adrian. Hopefully he can have a little bit more luck this race with Andrew Calabrese, the Canadian driver, in P14. Garrett Land there in 15th with Thomas Neiman and get in there in 16th with Sammy Hendricks in 17th. And Yanis Theophanopoulos did not take to any of these races. Yanis, come on back. We'd love to see you here in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. This would be a fantastic opportunity. The opportunity for the starters here. Power down, and away we go. Immediately moving behind Ian Joyner is Connor Bell. Try and find a way through at turn 1, and he'll carry that slipstream as the speed builds up to 200 kilometers an hour on the way into the first turn. Oh, bit of contact. Mahid Rahman getting sent a bit wide there by Brian Lockwood. Almost 3 wide for 6th place as we find our way through to turn 3. Valdez Vancevicius trying to hold on to that position in the top 6, but it's looking like it may not be too successful for the time being.
Well, definitely what I am seeing from this, where Connor Bell and Brian Lockwood did not reset. I have a feeling Connor Bell wants to have another crack at Ian Joyner. As you see there, he has managed to move himself up into P1. Brian Lockwood looking to try and move his way up onto the podium. As you see Mahid Rahman going quite wide there. Brian Lockwood's going to be up on the inside now. Can he get 2 cars for the price of 1? You can see there on the inside of Rivera, and you can see Ian Joyner just a little bit ahead. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, cold tires, cold tires. As much as you want to push, you got to let them tires get up to temperature before you really start to apply the pressure. Otherwise, you might find yourself getting a little bit of undesirable oversteer.
Yeah, understeer as well, a big option coming into these slower corners. If you've braked just a tiny bit too late, don't want to scrub those fronts. As we make our way into the kink, all the way over the curb to widen the entry into the fastest corner on the circuit. Just managing to keep it out of the grass there on the exit. The move is not there for the moment for Ian Joyner. He actually is pushing a bit wide there out of the corners, and he's back under attack from Brian Lockwood. Oh, Mahmood, he's gone off.
Yeah, definitely. I just seen him absolutely tumble through the timing order. I was about to say all of these drivers within a second of each other. Let's see what happened to Niemanen there. You can see he's there, goes a little bit wide, gets a bit of a slide going, and thankfully able to keep it going there. I do wonder what happened to Mahmoud, though. You can see here the number 8 car in the best paint. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to hide it, and just goes incredibly deep. I'm going to say that's a little bit of cold tires, maybe a little bit of missed braking marker.
Yeah, I was trying to stay ahead of Cairo Ends there, and I think outbraked himself on the way into Canada Corner, and the front end was doing nothing for him there. So we've lost the number 8, but remember, the fuel-saving strategy is in play in this race. So I don't think we're going to be seeing too many big moves. I can already see that Mahir Rahman is not making any effort to pass Connor Bell here at the front. He's playing this perfectly at the moment. Or is he? Connor Bell going deep into turn 5. Oh, God, okay. That is 3 cars off down at turn 5. I saw Bentvelsen there, Rivera, and Vansavicius. They've all gone off there, and Vansavicius with no rear wing on the car. That's effectively race over for him.
That's definitely unfortunate. He was a hard charge for the last race. Let's find out exactly what happens. You see Rivera goes in a little bit deep, gets a little bit of a nudge, and now has contact there with Brian Lockwood as well. Vansavicius goes into it. And frankly, these drivers, I will say, when they do have a little bit of an oops, they are very respectful in getting that car out the way. Certainly in some of the earlier seasons, we saw room for improvement there, but definitely the coaching has indeed paid off. But right now, they actually currently a meatball flag for Rivera. Bentvelsen looks like he's pretty much out of it at this point. The crowd favorite was running in P7. Vansavicius, I have a feeling, is out of it as well. Mahmoud's out of it. A few casualties here in the final feature race.
Yeah, not ideal. It's tough when something like that happens on the exit of turn 5. It's blind on the way in. You can't quite see what's going on the way out, and you got very little time to actually make a move to avoid it. Battle for the lead is on, and it looks like Ian Joyner has made a charge. He is up to the lead now. Mahir Rahman and Connor Bell will fight amongst themselves for second place. I mean, you have to save half a lap of fuel over 20 minutes, and like you said in the warm-up, it is doable. Has Ian Joyner saved enough fuel that he thinks, okay, now it's time for me to go for the lead?
There is another avenue as well. Does Ian Joyner realise he has to save fuel? Don't get me wrong, he's a pretty switched-on individual. I've raced him before, and he is a very, very potent driver indeed. But certainly myself, I would naturally assume that the setup has enough fuel. They may have mentioned it in the Academy briefing as well. I'm not too sure about that, but definitely you got something to think about. And I think that's why Connor Bell is currently not fighting for the lead. He's aware of that fuel scenario and looking to maybe try and save a little bit behind the number 18 car of Ian Joyner.
Yeah, I think Andrew Moran, he is going to be doing the same thing. Up 6 positions from the second race there. Hardest charger for the moment is shared between Garrett London and Sammy Hendricks. Both up 9 places for now. And it looks like for Hendricks, it's going to be plus 10. Maybe, if he can get this move done on Mark Frederick.
Well, I'm just remembering as well, we got no Michael Dowden today, which is a little bit disappointing, but I can remember he's an Academy member, and if I take a quick look at the schedule, he's not racing in real life this week, but certainly he is going to be. He does actually compete in some real life racing, which is trying to refresh my memory here, but I can tell you he's going to be at all sorts of tracks across Ontario, and indeed he's actually going to Road America in June as well. So certainly some of these drivers are not just on the sim, ladies and gentlemen, they are indeed racing in real life. As we see Sammy Hendricks now trying to make a move on Garrett Lund.
Oh God, Calabrese! Oh, okay, that looked like very heavy contact with the wall, and Calabrese's out now. He managed to get into Canada Corner all right, but it looks like getting on the power, there was just a bit of unsettling in the car. He caught the gravel and immediately into the tyre bundles.
Definitely ran a little bit wide there, and the sand was definitely not as kind as it wanted to be. Now, I do wonder, are we going to see any more bump drafting? Definitely hats off to Sammy Hendricks for having the courage to go for it, or indeed... you know, having the courage to go for it, ladies and gentlemen, you can giggle at that. It's fine. It's fine. You see Connor Bell there in second place. He's got Andrew Moran right behind. Definitely a very potent driver indeed. Actually, all of these drivers in here are indeed very potent. And Brian Lockwood actually coming down in P5, but the hard charger right now is indeed Sammy Hendricks. Can he manage to make his way up? Probably not. He's currently in P7, about 4 seconds behind the 30 car of Garrett Lyon, who you can see at the back of this pack here behind Brian Lockwood.
Well, it's a proper snake now for the lead here. The top 6 all in a line and all looking to save that little bit of extra fuel here. No moves being made into turn 5 this time. And I gotta say, if I'm Ian Joyner, I'm a little bit worried now because Joyner is punching the hole in the air for everyone else. He is having to go flat out down the straights here. Everyone behind him has the luxury of lifting a little bit and allowing the slipstream to carry them forward. Same deal, I think, for Cairo Enns here. He is obviously looking quick versus Mark Frederick here, but it probably isn't advisable to go for the move. Maybe he would want to try and catch up to Hendricks and maybe slipstream off of him and save a bit of fuel. But Hendricks is well clear now, and he's going to be burning a lot of fuel himself. So there's a lot of question marks over whether or not these drivers may make it to the end.
Very much so. You've also got to wonder as well, is Cairo Enns, you know, is his eyes being slightly assaulted by the color clashing wheels of the 77 of Mark Frederick? Definitely, it's fair to say I do like the bronze there. Enns very much pleasing my my visual palette, but you can see right behind him, Jeremy Childers getting in the action as well. Now, Jeremy Childers narrowly missed out on making top split in the in season 3. It was incredibly close. Definitely shown a good amount of pace, able to make it into top split for Season 3B. Perhaps we'll see him there in Season 4, but very much an improving driver as well. I have had the pleasure of driving alongside him in a pit party, and he is indeed a very safe driver, but safe is not going to get you positions necessarily. You need to have some incredible racecraft as well. What can he do to try and improve?
All part of the academy learning process. Down the straight we come. Looks like Cairo Enns has succeeded in getting past Mark Frederick for 8th, so now he's going to lead the charge for that one. The other thing we have to consider with all of these drivers in the top 6 saving fuel is it's benefiting Sammy Hendricks. Check this. Lap times for the top 6 were all about 2:10.2 to 2:10.4. Sammy Hendricks ran a 2:09.3 on the last lap. He is gaining in leaps and bounds here. Pretty soon he'll latch onto the back of this train, and then all he has to do is save enough fuel to make it to the end, and then he can potentially go for a move himself.
Yeah, definitely. He's got to push, and it's a high-risk strategy because if he doesn't catch that pack, he is very much going to have to go in the pits. As if things are definitely starting to spice up. This is a brave move, and it looks like it's paid off. You see Andrew Moran able to snake his way up into second place. Connor Bell relegated there into third. You see Brian Lockwood looking like he's going to try and make a move. As Moran has said, you know what, I'm done with this. Second isn't enough. I want the top step of the podium now. Trying to apply a little pressure there to the race leader, Ian Joyner, in first.
Potentially, Moran has saved enough fuel to go full throttle. So we'll see here at the end of the straight whether or not that is true. He gets a great exit out of the final corner, not quite able to capitalize fully. He had to potentially lift out a little versus Joyner, but he is going to have the momentum to take the lead, and Mahid Rahman will try and follow him through here.
Well, I did notice that Sammy Hendricks has now got onto the back of that pack. He's closed the gap to 1.1 seconds. That's absolutely incredible driving from Hendricks. Can he make it pay off? Is he going to have enough fuel to indeed avoid the pit stop there? As we see this this conga line of cars, realistically, ladies and gentlemen, very colourful indeed. I don't know what tune they've got playing, but it's definitely one I am enjoying the beat of. And you can see there, Andrew Moran has managed to make his way up to first. You see Mark Frederick and Cairo Enns still going at it. Almost looked like a little bit of contact there between Enns, and you see Niemanen currently at the front of that pack, leading Frederick and Enns and Childers along towards the rest of the field.
Yeah, Niemanen getting past the both of them on the previous lap there, as Moran will keep the lead for now. Rahman following him through. And this is Ian Joyner's chance to save that little bit of fuel that he needs. My timing is showing me there's 3.5 laps to go for our leaders with 8 minutes remaining on the clock. So make of that what you will in terms of the numbers. Whether or not these drivers can make it to the end is still up for debate, but I think all of them have done enough fuel saving now that they might be able to get it done.
Well, it remains to be seen, but ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Andrew Moran has the Sammy Hendricks front wing on the front of that car. I can indeed see a scuff on the nose cone of that Formula 4. You can see it there at the front of your picture. It's fair to say he's been getting very up close and personal, and I do wonder if that is going to have an effect on the fuel. It does not appear to be damage in terms of shape, maybe just a bit of a paint scuff, but I would worry about that. Certainly fuel calculations, especially where aerodynamics are concerned, can have a very big effect with damage. So certainly, is this going to be a little bit of a curveball for the number 99 machine of Andrew Moran?
Remains to be seen. Could be just debris damage as well, says Rob in the background. There has been a bit of gravel thrown onto the racetrack in this race. It's the same with every other race tonight. Well, 3 laps remain with Ian Joyner now well in the slipstream and not looking to make any moves, but it looks like Lockwood is looking to move his way up, passing Lund for the last position in the top 5 there, and Sammy Hendricks is on the back of this train now. It is now a 7-way battle for the lead of this race.
I am worried if Sammy Hendricks is indeed going to have enough fuel. Definitely he's been pushing hard, and we've seen it in the lap times as well, but he's now at the back of this. Can he hold on? And then even then, it's going to be enough potentially for P7, but can he make his way through this pack?
He's not in any hurry to get amongst it, is he? He's latched onto the back, and he's, I think, just watching from a distance to see what's going on. Once we start getting onto the final lap, he's still struggling a little bit to keep the car straight in the turns there. Once we get onto the final lap, I think that's when you're going to see Hendricks really making the moves.
Yeah, definitely got a feeling there's going to be some last lap shenanigans for sure. As you see Mark Frederick now applying some pressure to Thomas Niemann. Definitely good to see both of these drivers, albeit in Team Blue, as Niemann's gone off there. Is this going to be the opportunity for Mark Frederick?
Let's see then. All about the line through the carousel. The curb at the end of the corner there is basically a marker for where your apex should be if you want the best run out of it. He's in the slipstream and picking it up still through the kink. Maybe a little bit of aero push through that corner. Even in these Formula 4 cars, you have to worry about that. And he draws closer, ever closer into Canada corner, but no move just yet. Might be waiting for turn 1 on the next lap. Oh, Cairo ends pushing a bit too hard there. He's got some scuffs on his nose cone as well. And we'll see how much he struggles to the end here as he tries to keep Jeremy Childers behind him. Frederick then with the slipstream again on Nieminen. How much is this momentum going to be for him? 2 laps to go up the front, and we're starting to see a bit more movement as Mahir Rahman and Ian Joyner are side by side for second. The 2 coaches of Connor Bell and Brian Lockwood up in behind them. Garrett London, Sammy Hendricks hanging back just to see what happens. And Rahman will keep second place for now.
Oh, it looks like Lockwood is trying to move his way up through the field. You see there applying a good bit of pressure to Ian Joyner. He's going to be on the inside in this crucial braking zone. Connor Bell just a little bit further back. Now, I have a feeling, don't get me wrong, you do sometimes see a little bit of a team championship going on, but don't get me wrong, between the coaches, I think it is an all-out battle, and right now it is Lockwood versus Bell, as well as we see Joyner versus Lund, and indeed Moran versus Rahman. Both of these guys are former Academy champions. Now, it is indeed a clash of the Titans. We have a very high-class field up at the front of this pack, and indeed applying pressure, looking to stay on that podium and regain the top spot.
Going to be a white flag next time by, so this is when we're starting to see the cards fall into place. Everyone's had their poker faces on the whole time, and now they're starting to put those hands down and show them. as that was Joyner going very wide out of the carousel and wide again through the kink. So close to losing it at the fastest corner on the circuit. It looks like that's broken up the pack a little bit. I think we're going to start to see chaos emerge from here.
Well, you see Brian Lockwood looking to try and snake his way up into P2. He's going alongside Mahid Rahman, and I gotta say, that was a fantastic save from Ian Joyner. Definitely a high tense moment. Now the coaches are side by side as well. Battles happening throughout, and this is exactly what Moran wants to happen. The more these guys battle behind him, the better. As you see, almost wheel-to-wheel contact there between Rahman and Lockwood. Connor Bell right getting a front row seat of it. Are we going to see 3 wide heading into turn 1? Maybe a little bit of bump drafting going on there for Connor Bell.
No white flag, still 2.5 minutes remaining. We're going to go an extra lap here.
That definitely looked like bump drafting. I have a feeling Connor Bell was indeed giving his coach comrade a little bit of encouragement there, saying get a move on. As there you go, he's managed to make his way past Rahman, the 2 coaches. It's making me think a little bit of the Mighty Ducks, and we do indeed have the Bash Brothers out on the ice, albeit a lot more civilized, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly I think Rob's just remembered that movie. Fantastic soundtrack to that song. But Mahid Rahman pushed back into P6, as I can hear Rob cracking in my ear. But right now the puck indeed is further up the road as Mahid Rahman looking to try and score a goal.
Yeah, down 3 spots from where he started. He wants to try and gain those positions back. Out breaking Ian Joyner into turn 5, and he will be ahead. Now we will see Garrett Lund fall under attack. Oh, that's a big slide there from Rahman. You know, turn 6 is one of the most difficult corners on this track because you're going uphill on the way in and it levels out as soon as you turn in. So you've got to be very careful with how aggressively you turn in, how much you carry the brakes. It looks like Rahman almost came unstuck there, but he remains solidly stuck to the back of Garrett Lund there. Or is Ian Joyner stuck to the back of him is the question. Andrew Moran leading the way from Lockwood and Bell, and the coaches starting to work together here to catch up to the number 99. Victory might be out of Moran's hands here with 2 coaches working in tandem right alongside him, but he keeps the lead out of Canada Corner.
Yeah, I definitely would not want to be in the driver's seat of the 99 right now. It was very much I'm trying to think. I guess Goldberg going against the Iceland team in the Mighty Ducks as we got that reference going. But it looks like there's going to be a wicked draft here. Now, Reese, you said we were or were not on the white flag. No, this is going to be the white flag lap now. So It really is going to be a push to the very end. And it looks like we're going to have a 4-way battle. It looks like Garrett Lund's getting in on the action as well. This could end either very well or very badly as the coaches have the inside line. I believe that Connor Bell giving Brian Lockwood a little bit of a bump draft there as well.
Well, better exit around the outside for Andrew Moran. He's going to stay behind Lockwood, though. Very smart decision. He'll pick up the slipstream and potentially go for it into turn 5, but he needs to worry about Bell right behind him as well. Now alongside, and he's pulling Garrett Lund with him.
Yeah, this is where he's almost going to want Garrett Lund to give him a little bit of a shove. Myself, I'm not sure I'd be comfortable getting a bump draft in a Formula car as they go down to the braking zone. Definitely if you're going to bump draft, you've got to back off early enough as it gets incredibly close. A bit of a wheel dipped in the sand as they're heading up the hill into the left-hander.
Yeah, looks like a little bit wide there for Brian Lockwood, and it's 2 by 2. Noah's arcing it into the Hurry Downs and into the Kettle Bottoms. Oh, easy does it between the Team Orange cars. Looks like Ian Joyner is slowing up a little bit. Maybe he's almost out of fuel. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But Garrett Lund has found his way past him. And Sammy Hendricks could gain a few more spots from here. Now it's up to Andrew Moran to get past the coaches here and take victory. Does he have enough in the tank to go full throttle down the entirety of this straight here? Picks up the slipstream. Coming out of the kink, and the space opens to the right. Moran will take it. Brian Lockwood will slow up Connor Bell a little into the braking zone. Just enough room being given. Moran switches into second place. Now it's just a couple more corners to go. And finding their way through Bill Mitchell Bend flat out. Here's the move potentially up the inside. Not quite for Andrew Moran. Can he nail the exit and get alongside coming out of the corner? He cannot. Brian Lockwood will take victory here in race 3 at Road America. The checkered flag flies, and they all cross the line in tandem, separated by practically nothing.
That was an absolutely incredible battle. I was actually a little bit surprised that Connor Bell left the space open. I think he was hoping to get a slipstream on the straight, not quite able to get that off. But to be fair to him, that was incredibly close racing, like incredibly close. I got a feeling Cairo ends maybe lacking a little bit on the fuel department there, sir.
Yes, unfortunately, ends not quite making it to the end there. And that's going to be that. He is going to make it, but only just.
I am remembering a previous broadcast where there was actually a commentator who was, if you ran out of fuel, you was given that as a trophy. Definitely a fond memory from that experience indeed. But let's have a look at the main feature results. Brian Lockwood took first with Andrew Moran in second. Connor Bell taking third. I got to say, absolutely mind-blowing battle for the top 6, top 7 there. Ian Jordan took fourth, barely missing the podium, with Garrett Lund in fifth. Sammy Hendricks able to pull off an incredible recovery, actually, in P6, with Mahid Rahman in seventh. Thomas Niemanen takes eighth, with Mark Frederick in ninth, and Jeremy Childers closing out your top 10.
Kevin Adrian and Cairo ends the last finishes from this race, and ultimately we didn't lose anyone due to running out of fuel. It was all crashes, unfortunately. Calabrese, Bentvilsen, and Vansavicius all out on the same lap, as was Edwin Rivera, all gaining damage in that big incident at turn 5. Abdul Rahman Mahmood taken out a little bit earlier in the race as well, just outbraking himself coming into Canada corner. Well, hopefully we'll see Yanis Theophanopoulos at the next round of the championship. It was a shame to not see him on track here, but all up, another good day of racing here in the Almeida Racing Academy. And as we wait for the drivers to come in for interviews, Zippy, let's look forward to round 3. It's going to be magnificent, the stadium trucks at Hockenheim. I mean, what are you expecting from that?
Carnage, honestly. I'm expecting absolute carnage. Don't get me wrong, I've driven the stadium trucks and they're a lot of fun, but I wouldn't necessarily run them around a road course unless Hockenheim has a dirt layout that I'm not familiar with. It's definitely going to be a very spicy race indeed.
Certainly will. And, well, looks like we are having drivers join us now. We're going to go to Connor Bell first off here. It was a good day for the coaches here, Connor. You and Brian working together very nicely there in race 3. I'm amazed that you all made it to the end there without running out of fuel, considering what you were telling us about the fuel strategy earlier.
Yeah, it was a great race. People adapted super well to having to fuel save, which they didn't really plan for. But yeah, no, that was fun. A lot of strategy there. I actually saved a little bit too much, and then I didn't realize how much draft Andrew was going to have going into Canada corner. I felt like I could have had Brian, but then Andrew had me boxed in, so it was really great racing by everybody.
Yeah, this combination is fantastic. It's definitely one of those circuits and cars that that teaches, you know, just hanging back a little bit, which is such an important part of getting good results. Sometimes not making the pass is the best way to make the pass.
For sure. Just one of those strategy tracks. And in our pit parties yesterday, I was trying to tell people to be extra patient on this track, especially, you know, it's basically a game of chess until you get to the last lap. I kind of told everybody the worst spot to be in on the last lap is in the lead. So I think we saw some of that today.
Yeah, we certainly did. And what are you expecting out of the next round of the championship? We cross to Germany and we go into a machine that doesn't usually see much broadcast action, the Pro 2 Light truck. There's a lot of potential for drama there.
For sure. It's definitely something a little bit different, but I think there's still a ton to learn with that car. Weight transfer, you know, managing that soft suspension setup on that car. It actually provides for really great racing. A ton of draft, just like we saw in the F4 today, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, as are we. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Connor. Congratulations on the double podium here at Road America, and we'll see you again next week, potentially.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Connor Bell there, as we will turn our attention next, Zippy, to Ian Joyner. You've got him.
Well, I gotta say, Ian, what an absolutely tough race indeed. Definitely looked like you were having a lot of fun, able to get P4 for the feature and an outstanding win in race 2. Tell us a little bit about how you felt with the Formula 4 here at Road America.
It's quite a fun combo. I've not really driven it much before, so it's fun getting to know the car. Definitely enjoyed driving it. I think a lot of potential to be really fun races. Mine in the end were a little quiet for one reason or another, even I was glad I was in the sharp end for most of them. But I think the middle one, so the first one I was a few seconds off, so I was really just by myself most of the time. Then the second one, got lucky with the instance at start, so again had a little gap, which just as it was about to get exciting with Connor, the checkered flag came down, and then we thought we were going to go into the third one and have it was going to be a great race, but then we had a little bit of a fuel issue, so everyone was saving. It's really hard to know when you got enough fuel. I think most of us made it in the end, and also led a lot of it, but I had no idea that I was going to make it fuel-wise, so I was driving really slow, and eventually people came through, but then it's hard to only let a few people through, and then you're kind of not really sure, is it time to race, is it not time to race? It's kind of a little bit messy, but yeah, it's fun combo. Yeah, look forward to doing it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely the Formula 4, the racing was actually incredible. I was expecting a lot more carnage, and it's fair to say you guys handled the car absolutely fantastically. Certainly a little bit quicker here than the F1600. I know you are indeed so potent in. But Ian, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out for today's racing?
Yeah, thanks for the league. Thanks for mixing up. I think it's been fun to try different cars. Thanks to everyone in it, and yeah, thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is a very successful, very talented driver of indeed Ian Joyner. Definitely don't mess with him in the rain. I can vouch for that firsthand. But Ian, we're going to maybe see you next week in the Pro Light Trucks at Hockenheim.
Can't wait to see you there.
See you later.
Well, Ian Joyner will leave us, and Andrew Moran will join us. Good night for you, Andrew. It didn't quite go to plan in race 2, which was quite the carnage-filled race, but I think you should still be very happy with your form today.
Yeah, it was good. Road America causes, a draft fest like that, so it's bound to be carnage, but that's fun. It's the fun of the track. It's a bit of a crapshoot, you never know what you're gonna get, but it was good. I did well in the first race. Quality was kind of bad, but it was good enough. And then the second race had an incident, but there was a lot more crashing in front of me, so I didn't finish too bad. And then the last race was fine. Probably could have either sent a move in the last turn or tried to get the draft or try to get a better line out and exit, but I can't remember if you can pass if the guy doesn't make a mistake in front of you, if you can pass after the last turn from draft, but it's a lot of fun at Road America.
Absolutely is. You were right in the thick of that action in race 3. How did the fuel save work out for you? We're hearing that it wasn't entirely intentional to force you guys to save half a lap of fuel or so in the feature, but nonetheless, you played that game pretty well like everyone else, staying in that snake for the majority of the race and only pulling out all the stops in the final couple of laps.
Well, actually, I felt like they were going too slow with the fuel save, and so yeah, I made my moves earlier and then just was trying to defend. But I don't mind fuel saving. I'm kind of used to doing it in the LMP2, but for endurance stuff. But yeah, it's fun. I'd like to see more of that. Actually, it's a good. It's something else to think about, sort of during the race. So yeah, I was upshifting early, some lifting coasts, but mostly upshifting early and had plenty of fuel. So well, that's a fun aspect of racing.
Yeah, certainly is. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Andrew. Congratulations on the win in race 1, the second in race 2. We'll see you next week for the Pro 2 lights at Hockenheim.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Andrew Moran closing out our interviews there, Zippy, and that is going to be the end of the show here. Yeah, next week's going to be massive. A real big change up from the sort of more conventional first 2 rounds that we've seen.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed this round. Definitely, it was one of the combos where I actually debated going down and going taking a little bit of time on the track myself. But definitely, next week the Pro 2 lights are Hockenheim. I'm curious as to how they chose that combo, but don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely, it's almost a bit of an equalizer sometimes when you start putting these drivers into very unfamiliar machinery. It's not a case of who's got the most seat time or anything like that. It's a case of who can adapt the quickest. And I have a feeling we may see a few surprises at that round, but I think that is indeed just about going to bring us to an end, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in on here on Pit Road Productions, or indeed on Swallow Almeida's channel as well. Thank you for being in the chat as well. We definitely always enjoy interacting with you over there. But you're going to have to wait until next week if you want to see us again for the Almeida Racing Academy. And thank you very much for joining. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon. Joining me in the booth today was Reese, the Southpaw Racer Gardner, and at the production, Rob, the Goatee Campbell, hiding behind the camera today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
The Almeida Racing League is growing fast. Hundreds of drivers, multiple splits, broadcasted races, and it's not just about individual winning, it's a team championship. You race with your own squad, you learn how to compete, and you grow together. And we don't throw you into the races blindly. Every week, we help you prepare with pit parties to train side-by-side battles, workshops with live coaching, 20 driving challenges with full tutorials, and even group raids into official iRacing races after the league night. For just $25 a month, this is the most complete training experience in sim racing. Join us as a member today to start your advanced training and racing with us. I'll see you on track.